Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to continue my 4K journey, as I am now 4K. About 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks ago now, I did a video showing you the 4Ks that I already had bought on anticipation or future-proofing myself that one day I would get a 4K. So I'm just going to go through the titles that I actually have picked up now that I am 4K literate. Now obviously most of these are films that I have had on Blu-ray, perhaps DVD, perhaps VHS, perhaps cave drawings. But some of these films I have had on various formats, to say the least. But I'll try and kind of explain why I've upgraded, or my general impression of the prints, even though I'm finding with 4K there hasn't really been one that I haven't been impressed with. There are some films that you kind of have to change the settings on the TV for to get the kind of best out of them, I think. But that's hardly a terrible inconvenience. Now I'll start with two that may seem strange, but I'll explain why. Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal. I mean, The Dark Crystal I'd never had in my collection ever, I don't think. It's a fun little film, but I got these on eBay because somebody was selling them for £18 combined. And I thought, to get David Bowie in all his goblin glory, it was well worth £9 each. And obviously with 4K, a lot of the time you get a Blu-ray. So a lot of these I've moved on from my Blu-ray, because I would never keep two different formats of a film. I mean, that would be utterly outrageous. I wouldn't say the prints look amazing in these two, but they're still pretty good. Next, I got the Titans of Cult Blade Runner, which is the 4K steelbook, which is a rather nice steelbook, and this one does look rather lovely. I mean, you could argue it doesn't look as good as the 2049 one, but obviously that's set 30 years after Blade Runner. It's obviously very spooky that in Blade Runner Rutger Hauer dies in the year 2019, and Rutger Hauer died in the year 2019, so maybe Rutger Hauer was actually a replicant in real life as well. Next, I picked up the Stanley Kubrick 5-film collection in 4K. As you can see, there is a tear on the cardboard. Picked this up from eBay. This usually sells in the UK for £75–80, but I managed to get this for 40 just because the cardboard box was ripped. But the discs are absolutely fine. This is a 4K and Blu-ray collection. So I have Spartacus, which, if I'm being honest, I watched a bit of, but I'm not going to watch Spartacus on any format that often. And then the film that I really wanted, which was one of the essentials in 4K, is 2001, which looked absolutely terrific, as did A Clockwork Orange, The Shining and Full Metal Jacket. So yes, I have said in the past I don't watch Kubrick films as much as I used to in my youth. apart from probably 2001 and Doctor Strangelove. But these all look absolutely fantastic and well worth getting, especially at half price just for a bit of torn cardboard. Then one that only a certain amount of people on YouTube will understand, Batman Returns on 4K, obviously just to get as much Christopher Walken in 4K as possible. Also Michelle Pfeiffer's fantastic in this. Danny DeVito and Batman actually turns up for a wee bit in the film, but it's not really a film about Batman. And another one which was one of the essentials that I just had to get, and again the great thing about 4Ks is there's no region. This is the Criterion. It's Region A Blu-ray, Region A release, but obviously the 4K has no region. The first 10-15 minutes I didn't think the 4K looked that good, but then it slowly saturated my eyes and my brain, and the 4K for the Red Shoes just looks absolutely gorgeous. So not only do we need every Powell and Pressburger film on Blu-ray, we now need every Powell and Pressburger film on 4K. The Red Shoes is absolutely sumptuous, I guess, on any format, but the 4K is just ridiculous of a just ridiculous film. And then people will laugh, but I had to do it. The Predator 3 film collection. Don't worry, I did get big money for my Blu-ray editions of the Predator series. I believe I got a penny for my Blu-ray copy of Predators. These all look wonderful. Obviously the jump for Predators from Blu-ray to 4K isn't that big just because it's a more recent film, but the standout for me is Predator 2. The print on that looks fantastic. It's a film that never really looked that good, even on Blu-ray. There's a kind of haze over it. It was never really shot that nicely, but the 4K just wipes that kind of haze off the film. You can now see Gary Busey's teeth in all their glory in 4K. A little word about Predators. I mean, it's not perfect, but obviously compared to the last two entries in the Predator series, it looks like a masterpiece. I just love how the characters are literally dropped into the story, and what those characters are and what they represent. I think it's a nice touch, and again, I think 20 years from now, Predators will be looked at a lot more favourably than it perhaps is now. The same with Predator 2, even though it's really noisy and brash. Certainly on 4K it just looks like a different film. It's much sharper and looks really good. But obviously none of them are going to beat the original. And then I suppose I had to do it accidentally, of course. Bought Mulholland Drive on 4K, which looks wonderful, because again on Blu-ray it didn't really look that good, I don't think. Again, it kind of had, depending on what edition you had, there is a kind of, again, a little bit of a haze on it, I think. But again, the 4K cleans that up, and even the cowboy looks super sharp and super clean on this 4K edition of Mulholland Drive. And then another one that I really wanted to see on 4K and does not disappoint is Mad Max Fury Road, which again I have done a video about my relationship with Mad Max Fury Road, if you want to troll through my videos and check that out. How it started as a 3-star film the first time I saw it, and then it's just got better and better, and I literally could watch this every week It's just so simple but so beautifully done. They tried to kill a few people in it, but it's amazing how nobody actually died during the making of it, considering most of it's practical. Everybody hated everybody. Theron and Tom Hardy hated each other, but it's just a tremendous, simple film, so beautifully crafted. Another film that I kind of just had to get on 4K. It's not my fault, it's a disease. For a few dollars more. So this will be one of the ones that I've had on cave painting and chalk and slate, and then VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and now 4K, and it looks really good. Then one of the filmmakers I will try and get as many 4Ks as they ever make. Crash on 4K, which looks even more metallic and cold and distant and wonderful. It's got, I would say, an extra 5 degrees of wonderfulness because it's in 4K. Next, if you have a few dollars more, you might as well have the good, the bad and ugly. Because this is the Kino, this is the theatrical cut, which I prefer to the extended cut. This is just a masterpiece and it looks like a masterpiece. Obviously another one of the reasons I went 4K, because theoretically Once Upon a Time in the West is coming out in 4K, and when that happens my eyeballs may explode. I picked this one up cheaply because again I wanted to see a kind of older film in 4K. Citizen Kane, which looks absolutely gorgeous. Again, Citizen Kane, people just kind of go, yeah, Citizen Kane, it's because of its reputation, oh, it's not that good. Kind of like Seven Seal and Seven Samurai, they're kind of just, oh yeah, they're great films, but nobody really bothers with them anymore. Citizen Kane is just fantastic. It looks amazing, and the technicality obviously is just jaw-dropping, and the acting is wonderful, but the 4K looks absolutely superb. Next, another Cronenberg, Eastern Promises, which looks really good. Is this Viggo Mortensen's best performance? Answers in a postcard to Viggo Mortensen's house. Just arguably one of his best modern films. I prefer this to History of Violence, but obviously there's not much in it. But top class Cronenberg, even on something that perhaps looks like a throwaway project or something that's not necessarily Cronenberg, as usually makes it his own. I picked up the Ju-On Grudge box set from Arrow. Picked this up about £12 or £13 cheaper than the RRP on eBay. As you can see, I've only watched the 4K disc of The Grudge, which was nice. I mean, again, those J-horrors, they're all kind of shot in that kind of flat cinematography way that perhaps doesn't jump out. So it definitely cleans it up a little bit, but I wouldn't say it looks amazing or anything, just because those films are more about the atmosphere and the characters rather than the cinematography. They're about the dark little corners and the sounds that you hear. Next, a film that I wasn't expecting to have that much of a jump in quality. Doctor Strangelove, arguably my favourite Kubrick. Sorry everybody. Yeah, I mean, because of the kind of on location, almost stock newsreel footage of the attack, on General Rippers Air Force Base. I didn't think it would look that good on 4K, but I was wrong. I've been wrong before, and I'm happy to admit I was wrong about the print in Doctor Strangelove. Looks wonderful. Obviously the stuff in the studio looks better than the stuff on location, but it's just absolutely tremendous. And of course in the 4K version, Peter Sellers plays a fourth character. This one was recommended to me to regular commenter and subscriber Ben, so thanks very much for that. Blade Runner 2049 looks absolutely gorgeous, and as I said, probably looks better than the original, but obviously this is newer than the original. I mean, it looked rather impressive on Blu-ray, but the 4K looks even better. I mean, again, because I was skeptical of 4K and can they look that much better, but most of them have so far. Next, John Carpenter's criminally underrated They Live, which is as relevant or more relevant today than it was made in 1988. This is the Scream Factory, but again it's a Region A Blu-ray, but again the 4K is multi-region. With Scream Factory they have released a 4K steelbook as well. It's got very nice artwork, but obviously I would never buy that as well. I mean, that would be utterly ridiculous to have this and the steelbook. Come on. Roddy Piper and Keith David, even though I won't go into the ending if you haven't seen it, but it's very upsetting for Keith David fans. Another one I kind of just had to, Die Hard. It's just wonderful template film. Again, this is 4K and Blu-ray, and it's quite wonderful. Alan Rickman looks even better and sounds even better on 4K. I could argue that this was the reason that I haven't started my Kurosawa After Mifune season, even though I've been talking about it for 3 years, because I obviously waited to get Ran on 4K, and that was what's holding up the process. So I'll be able to begin that now, because I only had this on the Studio Canal Blu-ray, so I couldn't possibly start that series without getting Ran on 4K. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Again, another Cronenberg, Videodrome on 4K. Again, this is another one I wasn't expecting that much from as far as the jump in quality, but blimey, it looks good. Next, just a bit of silliness. Reservoir Dogs in 4K, which looks really good, but of course this steelbook has the detachable ear, of course, so it's quite a nice little fun slipcover idea, and that's actually the case. It's a lovely little slip on slip off ear. Still my favourite Tarantino film, and I think possibly his best outside of perhaps Jackie Brown, because strangely enough it's his shortest. I'm sure there's no correlation between that at all. And finally, again, another film that I have had on several editions. I know that might come as a shock to some people. And a film, again, I wasn't expecting too much from the 4K, but I just had to get it anyway. It's a disease. The Taking of Pelham 123, from the year of my birth. And this actually looks really good. Again, I wasn't expecting much because it's a 70s film. It had that kind of dark, kind of grainy, even though the Blu-ray looks pretty good because I have pretty much the Kino Lorber Blu-ray as well as a Region B Blu-ray, which I have now moved on from. See, I can do it. But this was actually really good. Again, it's one of those films I kind of put on just to check the print and the transfer, and I ended up watching it all anyway. Just lean, mean train hostage machine. And again, really impressed with the print on the Taken of Pelham 123, when again I didn't really have high hopes for it. So that's the 4Ks that I have bought, accidentally of course, since I have went 4K. I think there's a few that I may purchase now and again, but obviously I'm not going to go mad. This is not a symbol of madness, by the way. That's just a small stockpiling, future-proofing exercise. But as I said, I have actually got rid of most of the Blu-rays that are associated with this, because as I say, a lot of them are, you get a Blu-ray disc anyway, with the 4K. So thanks so much for watching. Again, if you can recommend some 4Ks to me that are worth picking up, then please do. And thank you for your comments and continued support as we enter and continue to enter the future of 4K and the future of humanity in the year 2023, which doesn't look that great, to be honest, but forward we go. So thanks very much for watching. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.